Wado Focarinos. Thank you for tuning into this video titled GTSport, my honest review. Now, I'm live streaming this because I'm having problems with my Mac and I've just finished the manufacturer's race and I wanted to talk about the game, talk about what I like about it, what I think could be improved, all these sorts of things. Now, I used to play Gran Turismo when I was growing up and I absolutely loved it. The ability to be able to pick any car, even a Nissan Micra, take it to the mechanics room and upgrade the turbo, the diff, the racing exhaust, tyres. You know, bit by bit, there's just something really rewarding about that, having to change the car with other actual parts, whereas on this Gran Turismo Sport, it's just a case of changing power points, which makes a lot of sense because I understand what they're trying to do with regards to this sport series. They've tried to obviously incorporate the online with this game. The next game they're releasing, Gran Turismo 7, they're looking at returning back to the basics, so I'm going to assume that they will be returning back to, you know, all these modern day cars that are now being released, and we will have that option to tune them up and see what it's capable of when we can test its abilities, such as, you know, the suspension, the gearbox where you can manipulate the speed, the rebound, the dampening, so many different options to change the car, and it's all available through this game, Gran Turismo. Obviously years have gone by now, we've got great graphics, PlayStation 5, I played WRC9 on PS4 Pro and WRC9 on PlayStation 5 about a week ago because I wanted to see if there was a difference. I don't think there would be because I have a PS4 Pro, but there was. It looked so much more colourful, there was less fog on the screen, even though there's not much anyway, but you could just tell. And it was smoother. So there is an improvement, and you know, this is a fantastic game with so much more to offer. I think the problem that Gran Turismo now has is it has competition, especially with regards to the console market. It was really the only simulation racer, but times have moved on, other companies are involved, and games such as Assetto Corsa offer I would argue that the majority of the sim racing community would say that Assetto Corsa is it's a little bit more realistic, and I say realistic in the sense of the brakes, you can just sort of push the anchors on here. Yeah, you can still skid it out on Gran Turismo, but it is just a little bit more real on ACC. But that said, Gran Turismo is by far the king of graphics and smoothness. Assetto Corsa on console is next to unplayable for me. Horrible graphics, looks like you're playing a PlayStation 3 at some points. But what Gran Turismo needs to do, in my opinion, is bring back what they're bringing back, which is hopefully we can pick any car, we can tune it up. And what I love about these games, because I've been playing this for a while now and I've been enjoying it, but when you get into all this like competition stuff and you want to achieve, you know, good results and all this kind of stuff, it takes away the fun. And as many of you know that will play this game, the penalty system has been atrocious. It has changed, but now some people are kind of abusing that. But then you drive cleanly, it'll put you in those lobbies, so I guess it's all sort of down to you, but it is a problem. And it does need things changing, but I think it needs more to offer. I think I was having a leisurely drive around the Nürburgring. I used to do that when I was a kid on a Logitech G29. You know, I'm now 32, I'm a father, and I've took my son, I've got him the Logitech G29, I've tripped myself to the Fanatec CSL Elite, and we're both just driving around the Nürburgring, and that is just where the game comes into its own. When you start racing and you're doing sport races all the time, it takes away the actual fun of the game. I think creating your own championships or finding leagues and championships where people are putting their own leagues on, which therefore takes away the dirty drivers, because you've all got to be vetted. You know, if you're a dirty driver, you're going to be kicked out of the league. And I think that's what I've done, and I've also increased the people I've met. It makes you a better driver, it makes you feel better because you're interacting with more people that are interested in the things that you're interested in. So what I'm trying to say is that's kind of bringing back the fun to the game. I think this sports element is a cracking idea and needs to be in place, but I just think there's a lot of... I don't really know how to say it, but there's just a lot of uncomfortable moments in this game which could be bettered. And the overall experience. But, you know, it's delayed it another year now. I'm going to assume that they've obviously been aware of the competition, and they're going to hopefully start competing with what other games have to offer, because this is a cracking game, and I absolutely love it. One of my main criticisms with it is the sense of speed is very, very slow. And I feel like there needs to be more of a motion blur. I can't remember what game it was, whether it was Grid, I think. And yes, I understand it's an arcade game, but it gave you that sense of speed. When you're going into corners, you felt even though you can't, that's what I'm saying, the way the TV looked, it made you feel as though you were really, really pushing it in there, and the harder you would turn, the more the rain would push to one side, and it was just really immersive. And the faster you go, like, the more motion blur, and the screen went blurrier, so you was on a smaller field of vision, and it gave a really, really good sense of speed. And I think Gran Turismo could definitely do that to a workable position. I don't think it would affect the racing. I don't think it would mean more crashes. I think everything would be the same. It would just mean your field of vision is more focused on the track rather than the entire screen is in vision, because that is just not the case. When you're racing, you're only ever looking at one point. That said, the second and perhaps only gripe that I have with this game is the sound of the engines. When you listen to a road car and it's a V8, it puts your hairs on end. If you had listened to a race car V8, such as this Mercedes that you're seeing now, which is the GT3, 600 horsepower, I don't know whether you've ever heard a car like that in real life, but it's almost like Godzilla has just shafted you from behind and you were just not aware of that. The noise is just colossal, and it just puts all your hairs on end, and it just makes you grit your teeth, and it just, you don't get that in this. And Assetto Corsa is better. You kind of get that, but it's still, it doesn't have that where you grit your teeth. And I need it to have that. If you can grit your teeth with the sound of the engine, and it gave you that motion blur where you felt like you was actually doing 180 miles an hour, not 40 miles an hour. Because sometimes I'm going into corners and it feels so slow, and I'm still having to brake thinking this is so slow, and I'm looking at the speed and I'm doing 67 miles an hour, which is motorway speeds. And I don't think it should feel like you're doing 15 miles an hour when you're doing 70. They need to incorporate some form of motion blur, post-processing, but you know, that's just my opinion, and it would make the game a lot more fun. I mean, I've just got Dirt 5, and it's an arcade game, but you know what? I've played one race, and I've had so much fun. It's an adrenaline-filled game. It's not like the others at all, by the way. It's well worth it, I must say. On PS5 as well, the haptic feedback is fucking awesome. On the outside of the car, in like heavy mud, it's a really heavy vibration, but the left side of the car with the wheels spinning, it's a really light vibration. But you get it all across the pad as well, so it like moves the weight across the pad. It's really, really clever the way they've done the haptic vibration. But my point is straight away I'm like, this is ace, and through the whole thing I was just smiling. It's very forgiving. You know, it's not a simulation like this, but straight away you're in this Skoda and it feels absolutely rapid, and it's like the first car you've got. But Gran Turismo, you can have one of the fastest cars in the game, and it just feels like you're trotting along. It feels like you're doing the speed that you can see now. It's just too slow. So that's kind of summed up this review. I had to get that off my chest. I feel like the penalty system with regards to people doing the right thing and then getting it wrong, yes, that's bad. They've took that off and now people are abusing that. I think the system needs to say, well, look, if people are going to get penalties, instead of giving them penalties, if someone's nudged someone, right, and they shouldn't have done, and that makes that other car go off, then whoever got nudged, that car should gain like a stability grant through coding. So instead of it going wee and getting knocked off and then spending another 7 hours trying to line the car up, they need to either ghost that car and let that car be unbalanced because it was their fault, and the person who they hit just give it stability so there is no loss of control. I think that is a big improvement. I think they need to increase the way it sounds, and they need to increase motion. Apart from that, the game's absolutely fantastic. It's very difficult to really compete with something of this sort of quality, this frame rate, this smoothness. Nothing competes with it. It is fantastic. So a couple of other improvements, and I think it'd probably be one of the best out there again. But like I say, hopefully with regards to its competition, they're going to be starting to push this. Other YouTubers such as Tijney, Super GT, Basic Ollie, you know, we're all saying the same things. Deadeye Delboy, Womble Leader. We're all saying the same things, and if Gran Turismo can actually sort it out, it's gonna be game changing. So that's it. I'm gonna end the stream there, and I'm actually gonna restart another stream now. I'll be playing a little bit of Dirt 5 actually, and then maybe a bit of SnowRunner after that. Or maybe even SnowRunner first. I don't know. But thank you very much for watching. I do very much enjoy this game. When you take away the sports aspect, which, although it is enjoyable and is fun, I have found that I have enjoyed it much less, spending my majority of my time trying to do well and putting in extra time for laps on my own sort of thing. But if you can create a community and you're all pushing each other, that's when it becomes fun, which is what I'm trying to get across. It's all about the community. I mean, there's nothing wrong to be said about picking this car up and just taking it for a leisurely spin around the Nürburgring. To be able to even do that is a god blessing. So, but I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Please give us a like. It does help me indeed. And I will see you in the next video. Peace, Reno, Foca Renos. Ciao for now.